Hello and welcome to ITV News West Country with Ellie and Victoria.
Thank you for joining us. The headlines this Friday evening. Jail for the gang from Liverpool who flooded Devon and Cornwall with £1.5 million worth of heroin and cocaine.
We would normally expect perhaps a county line to be in one of those areas or two, but they've impacted in just about every area of the force.
Also tonight, the future of banking. A new hub serving customers from 5 major banks opens in Axminster.
They might be incredibly cute, but the future isn't bright for Britain's native dormice population. We speak to a wildlife expert in Devon, giving them a helping hand.
And Christmas comes to Charlestown. We'll be checking out the shimmering light displays at the Shipwreck Museum. Good evening and welcome to the programme. First tonight, members of an organised crime gang who plotted to bring more than £1.3 million worth of drugs into Devon and Cornwall have been jailed for a total of more than 70 years.
The dealers used a camper van to tour the southwest as they built up networks in seaside towns including Exmouth, Dawlish, Ilfracombe, Penzance, Camborne and Hale.
Well, in a few minutes, we'll be speaking to Sam Blackledge outside Exeter Crown Court. But first, Jackie Bird reveals the background to the massive police operation.
Heroin, cocaine, thousands of pounds in cash, organised crime groups. This might sound like the storyline of a gritty crime drama, but in fact it was the sophisticated, concentrated and well-organised supply of huge amounts of drugs into Devon to the very tip of Cornwall, in a way that has never been seen before, that was blasted apart by Devon and Cornwall police.
This group impacted in Cornwall, North Devon, Exmouth, Exeter, Torbay, in areas that we would normally expect perhaps a county line to be in one of those areas or two, but they've impacted in just about every area of the force, apart from Plymouth, which was also interesting.
These are the ringleaders of the gang: Benjamin Burns, Christy Keating, Georgie Keating and Thomas Keating, all from the Liverpool area, who recruited a team of couriers and suppliers to bring drugs down to Devon and Cornwall, and then set about gathering a gang of local couriers and warehouses and assistants.
Sophisticated, determined. Even when we took out couriers, they simply replaced that courier with another one until eventually they were themselves forced to get more hands-on because of the way in which they ran their operation.
The police became aware of this gang when they arrested their street dealers back in 2021. They uncovered their operation by infiltrating their mobile phones, tracking phones that were used in Liverpool and then brought to the West Country, handsets that were swapped among the group, and a special spoofer phone that was used to disguise telephone numbers used by the drug dealers. It was complicated and very specialised work, cross-referenced by seizing CCTV of the gang buying new handsets and SIM cards across the West Country. Even the disguises used by the gang to try to thwart the CCTV was futile, as when they were arrested, their clothes were searched and seized to match up to those damning photographs.
We would have spent operationally over £200,000 over the course of the 18 months, which is very expensive. So we have to really balance that cost against what we're going to achieve. But because we spend our time understanding the picture and really dedicating those specialist resources. And so if we want to put a surveillance team out and it's £10,000 in costs, then we will look at putting that team out at that point. Is it worth? Or as one of my DSs likes to say, is the juice worth the squeeze?
Well, the juice definitely was worth the squeeze. Over the course of this police operation, detectives identified 33 drug runs into Devon and Cornwall. They seized 15.5 kilos of Class A drugs, heroin and cocaine with a street value of nearly £1.5 million. They also seized £30,000 in cash. The gang spent many thousands of pounds trying to cover their tracks, hiring cars and camper vans to travel to the West Country. But their visits to arrange the dealing were carefully monitored by the police. Unusually for an organised crime gang, the ringleaders themselves travelled to the West Country to test the lay of the land and seek out trusted couriers, An investigation like this one is costly, but necessary, say the police.
The business model behind the people that supply it are ruthless business men and women, and they will stop at nothing in order to get those drugs to people's doorsteps. And the exploitation and violence that they're willing to use is really significant, not just for the users, but for the people who are supplying it in between and the people who come into contact with them in the process. So yeah, the impact is huge.
So compelling was the evidence in this case that all of the defendants, apart from 3, pleaded guilty. Those remaining 3 were found guilty by a jury. The police say their success in cracking this organised crime gang is tempered with the fact that they know there'll be another waiting in the wings to take its place. But they have a warning to those who do, that they will be watching. Jackie Bird, ITV News, Exeter.
Well, let's cross now to our reporter Sam Blackledge, who was in court today. Sam, as we've just seen from Jackie's piece, a huge undertaking by the police to crack this highly organised gang.
Yes, that's right. A really significant operation, this, and some lengthy jail terms to match handed out to those involved. As you heard in Jackie's report there were 4 main ringleaders. They were Benjamin Burns and 3 members of the Keating family, Thomas, Christie and Georgie. Now, they were all jailed for more than 10 years each after admitting conspiracy to supply Class A drugs. Now, there were many others at either end of the chain, both in Liverpool and down here in the southwest, and they had various levels of involvement. Some of them were employed as drivers and played a lesser part, but others were involved in money laundering, concealing criminal property and assisting in the activity of an organised crime group.
And Sam, those sentences and remarks by the judge today reflecting the gravity of their crimes.
Yes, that's right. The judge in this case, Anna Richardson, had a really difficult task. She had to take in lots of information, complicated legal arguments and balance that all together to provide appropriate sentences. As the defendants sat in the dock this afternoon, each of them awaiting their punishment one by one, the judge told them the impact and the sale of drugs is devastating. She told the ringleaders that the case came under such a high category of drug conspiracy because of the length of time it went on for, but also the amounts of money and drugs involved. To those who were spared jail and given a suspended sentence, she said, "You're all at a turning point in your lives. You must not go backwards. If you do, you will end up back in court." The remaining defendants will be sentenced on Monday morning.
OK, Sam, thanks very much for that.